I remember reading it and thinking, wow, this is the big one, because not only is it the performances, the journey that we go from fighting and not being friends to the total other end of the spectrum. I knew it was going to be a ride. We shot this scene end of summer, so it was a beautiful day and it was a beautiful location. It's a really old, rundown like house in the middle of nowhere.
I suppose you could say that in a way they're in no man's land. It's not his house, it's not her house. So they are suspended at that moment. So it seems like a very good place for it all to come together.
They put a fire in and we were like boiling hot. And it was a long day. We were there all day shooting that scene. We were both quite emotional. It was a pretty intense scene to shoot.
I was aware that this was a very key moment in their relationship. It's when it all switches and changes. But as a director, you're also aware from a very practical point of view that I had a very long scene with a lot of dialogue. And so I'm also thinking, how can we make sure that this keeps its momentum?
Bridgerton is very dialogue heavy in a great way. And God, the writing is just, it's so brilliant.
The two scenes before were the pair of them pacing up and down in their rooms. I thought that just led you into the sense of these couple who are both utterly frustrated. They both are crazy about the other person, but they think that the other person feels that they trapped them into marriage and it's a disaster. That's what they both feel. And of course, it's quite the opposite. They are both crazy about each other.
The audience know that she's really frustrated and in love, but Simon thinks that she's annoyed and hates him. It's probably a lot of sexual frustration going on at the beginning of that scene.
I do not say, I burn for you. It's not my line. That's Daphne's line. And so it's never this kind of, I burn for you thing in the Batman voice. Everyone clearly was feeling very burnt for, which I'll take as a compliment.
You have no idea what lines people are going to care about. And that was surprising to me. It wasn't like I saw I burn for you in the script and was like, this is going to be what people talk about. Just
because Simon's going through a lot in that scene. Like Simon's going in and out of his own self-loathing, in and out of, am I ready to kind of dive off this cliff and declare my feelings in the most hilariously male, unnecessarily aggressive way possible. That came out the way it did because of that internal struggle that Simon was going through, because he didn't want to say it and kind of almost had to beat himself up to say it.
It's such a beautiful moment, isn't it? When two people who, for hours we've been watching them falling in love, but not being able to communicate properly to each other. And this is the moment when finally they do come together. It's so much more sexy to watch the anticipation of sex than actual sex. So I just wanted to drag out as long as I could. Then in those days, having to undo the laces and the buttons, it delays it. It's that delayed pleasure.
The wardrobe is funny because it was a big part of those intimate scenes, because we knew that we somehow romantically had to take off the corsets, which would in real life take about 5 minutes to undo and isn't the sexiest thing ever.
The trade secret was that in that room, we got up to the moment when their clothes came off, but when you cut to them going to the bed, that's months later in a studio.
There was a lot of talk about this being Daphne's first sexual experience. This intimate scene, more than any other scene, we rehearsed a lot because the balance was making sure that Daphne was 100% into it and wanted it, and it was, very much consensual, but also that this was Daphne's first time, so she doesn't know what she's doing, so therefore Simon very much has to lead the way. The choreography that went into that, and we talked a lot to Chris and a lot to Lizzie Talbot, our amazing intimacy coordinator, just about finding the right balance.
They are both fantastic actors, may I say, who completely understood the scene, where their characters were, what they wanted, what they were doing.
I just feel so lucky that I'm coming up in a time where intimacy coordinators are a thing, and it was everyone coming together and making everyone feel comfortable and safe. And it really was exciting to be able to watch those scenes and be like, oh my god, it looks real, and it looks like we have so much chemistry. And you know, me and Regé had such a great professional relationship and worked so hard on making everyone feel like we were really in love, and I think we managed to do that. So that's good.